After Robert Grant became disabled in a car accident, I took care of him for 7 full years. My unwavering care and love won his heart. He gave me the heirloom jade bracelet, swearing that once he could stand again, he would marry me and spend his life repaying my deep affection. But the first thing he did after recovering was to take his first love racing. I went to stop them, heavily pregnant, and was hit by the out-of-control car, causing a miscarriage. While in the hospital, I accidentally overheard Robert Grant talking to a friend. "Sarah Miller was completely devoted to you. It's one thing that you secretly got your marriage certificate with Jessica Adams, but how could you use such a malicious method to make her miscarry?" Robert Grant laughed dismissively. "The housekeeper's daughter? Just for fun. How could she compare to Jessica? It was her good fortune just to be by my side for 7 years. As for anything more, she's not worthy." As he spoke, Robert Grant gently stroked the marriage certificate in his hand. His eyes held a tenderness I had never seen before. I stood there for a long time, until the pain in my heart spread and numbed me, making it hard to believe the reality before my eyes. Just yesterday morning, Robert Grant had been smiling, pressing his head against my belly, saying full of anticipation, "It would be wonderful if our daughter was as gentle and beautiful as you. When that time comes, we'll be the happiest A family of 3. It turned out the A family of 3 he spoke of never included me. Lost in thought, I heard his friend's indignant voice. "Robert Grant, you can't be so heartless. Right after your accident, you drove away dozens of caregivers, even dogs would have turned away. Only Sarah Miller stayed by your side, working tirelessly without complaint. If you didn't like her, didn't want to marry her, you should have just said so. She's so young and now infertile because of you. What's she supposed to do with her life?" Robert Grant raised an eyebrow and chuckled lightly. "Just give her a sum of money. Her mother works as a housekeeper, she wouldn't earn this much in a lifetime. If anything, she should be thanking me and Jessica. Besides, I have a cleanliness complex. It's better that she can't get pregnant. I can't stand the thought of a woman I've been with marrying and having children with another man." The friend, furious, stormed off. I stood frozen, tears streaming down my face. So, this was the man I had loved my entire youth. So, this was the love I had abandoned everything for, the love I had rushed towards without hesitation. Robert Grant appeared without my noticing, returning to the guise of someone who loved me deeply. He walked slowly towards me and took my cold hand. "Sarah, don't cry. I only went to see Jessica Adams to end things, I didn't expect such an accident. Don't be sad. Whether we have a child or not, my feelings for you will never change." Saying this, he gently wiped away the tears from my eyes and pulled me into his arms. This scene had appeared countless times in my dreams. Now that it was actually happening, I felt only profound sadness. Feelings that never existed, of course, could never change. I wept silently, and heard Robert Grant continue, "I bought you a beachfront villa. Move there to rest and recover. Don't go out unnecessarily. Things are busy at Grant Enterprises, but I'll make time to visit you. Don't worry." He didn't finish before being interrupted by his phone's sudden ringtone. Robert Grant glanced at me and went out to the balcony. He was too far away, I could only faintly hear a few words. "Wedding date, February 6th, big ceremony." After hanging up, Robert Grant gave me a few dismissive words and left in a hurry. Not long after, my bank account received $5 million. It was from Robert Grant, with the note, "Get some rest." At the same time, Jessica Adams sent me a photo of her and Robert Grant. The caption was, "Happy wedding." They were holding hands tightly, their bodies pressed close. On her hand was the diamond ring Robert Grant had promised to give me. I had designed the sketch myself, and he had spent millions to acquire the main stone at auction. Back then, he had said, "Sarah, thank you for staying by my side when I was at my lowest and most helpless. The most expensive diamonds in the world aren't as precious as your feelings for me. I swear, I will never betray your affection for me in this life." Now, looking at the two people in the photo, so obviously in love, I felt only mockery. Things that didn't belong to me, love that wasn't mine. They always had to be returned. After all, in Robert Grant's eyes, a housekeeper's daughter wasn't worthy of these things. I steadied my breathing and called Mrs. Grant. Mrs. Grant, I've changed my mind. I choose 80 million, and I'll leave Robert Grant. From the other end of the phone came a scornful laugh. Good, you've come to your senses. I'll be back in a week to sign the contract with you. Take the money, and disappear from my son's life forever. I quietly agreed and hung up the phone. Even if Mrs. Grant hadn't said it, I was going to leave. From our first meeting at 18 until now, I had spent my entire youth on Robert Grant. In the remaining days, I only wanted to reclaim everything I had given up for Robert Grant. The hospital room window wasn't fully closed, and the cold wind sent a chill through me. I got up to close the window and saw a young man in white beneath the tree in the yard. The wind ruffled his hair. In a daze, it felt like I was back in the year I first met Robert Grant. Back then, I went to the Grant house to help my mother clean, and Robert Grant was sitting in the yard under the tree in the yard, reading. I had never seen anyone so handsome. I was so captivated watching him that I stumbled and fell. The expected pain didn't come. Robert Grant caught me steadily. He gave me a faint look. Just that one look showed me what a glance for 1,000 years meant. When we met again, Robert Grant was already in a wheelchair. I heard it was because Jessica Adams had declared, Robert Grant, love isn't just about words. If you dare take me racing on a mountain road, I'll marry you. Because of this casual remark, he nearly lost his life. When the car accident happened, he broke both his legs protecting Jessica Adams. Mrs. Grant was furious and sent Jessica Adams abroad, forbidding them from seeing each other again. The favored son fell from his pedestal and suffered the pain of losing his love. Robert Grant's temperament changed drastically, transforming from a refined young man into a hateful, repulsive monster. He drank heavily and went wild, attacking everyone around him indiscriminately. When even his own parents were on the verge of giving up on him, I tore up my acceptance letter to the prestigious Art Institute and came to his side without hesitation. I went to study therapy massage and insisted on giving Robert Grant a therapy massage for 4 hours every day. Even in wind and rain. Even when he threw terrible tantrums and hit me with a vase, leaving me bleeding from the head. Even when everyone laughed at my foolishness and naivety. I never gave up. Over 7 years, I exhausted every possible method, consulting specialists and seeking alternative treatments everywhere. Finally, the day Robert Grant recovered arrived. And the day my heart died also arrived. I took a deep breath and used my secondary social media account to view Robert Grant's social media feed/posts. The top post was a photo of him and Jessica Adams's marriage certificate. The caption read, "After 7 years, I've finally fulfilled my promise from back then. In these past 7 years, there wasn't a moment I forgot you." The comments were uniformly congratulatory, praising the TW. Oh, lovers for finally being together. No one remembered my 7 years of sacrifice and dedication. My eyes burned as I read, and I looked up at the window. It was getting cold, and the tree in the yard was already bare. The young man in white under the tree in the yard was no longer worth my love. I booked a flight abroad, wanting to reapply to the school from that year. After 2 days of observation at the hospital, I checked myself out. Robert Grant didn't come to pick me up. He just sent someone to deliver a bouquet of jasmine flowers. I thought he was busy preparing for his wedding with Jessica Adams and had no time to see me. Unexpectedly, that night, he lay beside me as usual. He put his arms around me from behind, burying his head in my embrace. My leg hurts, I'm hungry. I was half asleep. Out of habit, I went to the kitchen and made a bowl of a simple comforting soup. I blew on it, placed it in front of Robert Grant, then expertly knelt down to give him a therapy massage. The moment my hand touched his skin, he flinched away. "Sarah Miller, your hands are so rough, they don't even look like a woman's hands." I woke up completely, looking at Robert Grant in confusion. Slowly, I remembered Jessica Adams's perfectly manicured, delicate fingers in the photo. Then, I lowered my head and let out a bitter laugh. Robert Grant thought hands like these weren't fit to touch him. But he had forgotten. These hands of mine were originally hands that wrote and drew. They became rough because of Robert Grant, and then were despised by Robert Grant because they were rough. 7 years of companionship, over a decade of unspoken love. It truly wasn't worth it. I yawned, wanting to lie back down. Robert Grant put down the half-eaten a simple comforting soup and tugged at my clothes. Do you still have the heirloom jade bracelet I gave you? I'll take it to be polished and give it back to you in a few days. I lowered my eyes and said calmly, no need. It's too valuable. You keep it. Keep it, and give it to the person you truly love. Robert Grant was taken aback, not expecting me to agree so readily. Taking back something he had given away made him feel a little awkward himself. He scratched his head and added, I'll buy you something better tomorrow. He said it seriously, but after getting the heirloom jade bracelet, he put everything else out of his mind. All he could think about was quickly giving the heirloom jade bracelet to Jessica Adams. Watching Robert Grant's retreating figure, tears suddenly fell. What hurt wasn't just his lies and betrayal, but also the sorrow and regret that the love of my youth had become completely unrecognizable. After crying, I had no desire to sleep. I pulled out the thousands of sketches I had drawn for Robert Grant. Every stroke, every line in them, recorded my over a decade of unspoken love. When he was at his lowest and most helpless, abandoned by everyone, I had shown them to him. Robert Grant, please pull yourself together. Even if the whole world leaves you, I'll still be here by your side. I love you, and I'll never leave you. The first time, he hysterically tore the sketches to shreds, picking up everything around him and throwing it at me. Later, he would hold the sketches and cry silently, burying his head in my embrace, whispering over and over, Sarah Miller, what would I do without you? Now, everything was fine. Robert Grant's legs had recovered. He was still the Grant Enterprises CEO, adored by everyone. Without me, he would only live better. I wiped away my tears and threw all the sketches into the fire, letting them turn to ash along with the love of my youth. The moment the flames leaped up, I saw Robert Grant's face. I thought I was seeing things, but the next second, he really rushed over and picked up the surviving sketches. Sarah Miller, why are you burning these sketches? Robert Grant's hands were burned and blistered, but he seemed not to feel it, tenderly wiping the ash off the sketches with a pained expression. I was surprised. Why are you back? Don't you need to be with, aren't you busy with Grant Enterprises? Robert Grant slowly looked up, his expression unclear. It's snowing. I promised you I'd watch the first snow with you every year. My heart sank. The reason I said that back then was because I was worried Robert Grant's leg would hurt when it was cold, so I used it as an excuse to stay by his side. Now, that promise held no meaning at all. Seeing me silent, Robert Grant seemed hurt. He knelt in front of me. I know you're sad about the baby, but you still have me. Those sketches are burned, they're burned. Will you draw me another one? Draw us together. I squeezed my palms and shook my head gently. I'm tired. I don't want to draw anymore. After taking care of Robert Grant for 7 full years, I developed tendinitis from overwork, which couldn't be permanently cured. The moment I held a paintbrush, my hand would tremble uncontrollably. I couldn't draw anymore, not now, not ever. Besides, without love, even the most skilled artist couldn't capture the feeling from back then. Robert Grant's eyes dimmed, and he reached out to stroke my head again. Then get some good rest. When you're rested, let me know. I have a friend who wants to ask you to draw a picture. A scent of jasmine flowers drifted over with Robert Grant's movement. I lowered my head and gave a self-mocking smile. I knew it. As if Robert Grant would remember any promise. He came back, but only for Jessica Adams. I sighed and took out my phone, trying to distract myself. I didn't expect the top trending topic to be an interview video of the two of them. We hear Mr. Grant spent $5 million to fly in a whole field of jasmine flowers from abroad to decorate the wedding venue. There are so many seasonal flowers in winter, why choose jasmine? Robert Grant smiled knowingly. Because Jessica loves jasmine the most. He lifted his shirt, revealing the jasmine flower tattoo on his lower back. I tried to stay calm, but the hand holding my phone couldn't stop trembling. The tattoo on Robert Grant's lower back was one I had designed for him. At that time, with my efforts, his legs could barely stand. He cried tears of excitement, hugging me and saying, "Sarah, you are the best girl I've ever met, as pure and clean as jasmine. When I fully recover, I will definitely marry you." To reciprocate his love, I also got a tattoo of Robert Grant's name on my body. I didn't expect it was all fake. Robert Grant tried so hard to keep it from me. But his love for Jessica Adams was grand and widely known. How could he hide it? Looking at the picture on my phone, seeing them so affectionate, I blurted out, "Liar." Robert Grant, who had already reached the door, stopped. He turned and looked at me, saying seriously, "Sarah, I swear on our lost baby, I will never lie to you." That night, he unusually didn't leave. We slept back to back, silent throughout the night. When I woke up, Robert Grant had already left. Jessica Adams had posted a new update on her social media feed/posts, going to take wedding photos. "The scenery on the way is beautiful." Robert Grant, who had never liked my social media feed/posts, commented below, "You are the most beautiful scenery." I also liked it. I put on a coat and went to a tattoo parlor to have the tattoo removed. It hurt a lot, much more than getting it tattooed. For several days in a row, Robert Grant didn't come back. I dug up the jasmine flowers in the tree in the yard and watched as Jessica Adams kept sending me messages. "Homewrecker! Don't think you can replace me just because you shamelessly clung to Robert Grant for 7 years. In the 7 years you were by his side, he messaged me every day. Whatever I wanted, he would have someone send it to me, even from thousands of miles off. What can you possibly compare to that?" I ignored her, but she kept relentlessly updating her social media feed/posts. Robert Grant was with her, trying on wedding dresses, choosing wedding rings, and having a bachelor/bachelorette party. The ironic thing was, the wedding dress, the wedding rings, even the wedding venue, were all things I had sketched myself. Robert Grant hadn't lied to me, he really had made the scenes from my dreams come true, one by one. The only difference was, the bride wasn't me. But I no longer had the energy to deal with these things. Mrs. Grant had returned. As if afraid I would change my mind, she found me as soon as she got off the plane. It was just before dawn. The long string of zeros on the bank card made my eyes swim, but it swept away the gloom in my heart. I read the contract carefully. Once I was sure there were no issues, I signed my name without hesitation. As soon as I finished writing the last stroke, Robert Grant's phone rang. I put him on speakerphone in front of Mrs. Grant. "Sarah, I just had another nightmare. It woke me up terrified. Every time I had nightmares before, you were there with me. I miss you so much. Things at Grant Enterprises will be wrapped up in the next couple of days. Will you spend more time with me then?" Robert Grant had frequent nightmares after his legs were broken. Sometimes, when he was in terrible pain, he would even bite my shoulder until it bled. Every single time, I stayed by his side, giving him a therapy massage, singing to him, and helping him through one difficult night after another. But after this, he would no longer need my company. I glanced at Mrs. Grant and spoke slowly. "Robert Grant, stop acting. I know today is your wedding with Jessica Adams. Congratulations on getting what you wanted. I hope you have a long and happy life together, and I hope we never see each other again." I hung up the phone and, in front of Mrs. Grant, blocked Robert Grant. I also canceled all my identity information, showing my determination never to see Robert Grant again. Unexpectedly, Mrs. Grant was aghast. "What did you say? Robert is marrying Jessica Adams? This is outrageous. Don't think I don't know what she's been doing abroad." Mrs. Grant no longer paid attention to me, urging her driver to hurry to the wedding venue. Before she could even arrive, another shocking piece of news came. Robert Grant had run away from the wedding. Robert Grant himself didn't know why he had done something so bizarre. After the phone call ended, he felt like he had lost his soul, and his mind became completely muddled. Until he was surrounded by people and brought before the wedding officiant. He looked at Jessica Adams, and in front of everyone, called out Sarah Miller's name. Instantly, the lively hall fell silent. Jessica Adams's face immediately fell. Who are you calling out for? Robert Grant suddenly woke up as if from a dream. He finally understood that feeling. Over the past 7 years, he and Sarah Miller had been closely connected. He had long considered her an indispensable part of his life. He could belittle Sarah Miller when bragging to his friends, and he could abandon Sarah Miller for Jessica Adams. But he could never, ever lose Sarah Miller. Jessica Adams's departure back then had left Robert Grant heartbroken and utterly dejected. But Sarah Miller's departure made his entire world collapse. Sarah Miller's presence was like water, like air to him. He didn't notice it when he had it. Only after losing it did he realize he couldn't live without it for a moment. He frantically pushed Jessica Adams away. I'm sorry, Jessica. Let's postpone the wedding. I have to find Sarah Miller. I need to see her. I can't live without her. Robert Grant. What am I to you? I waited for you for 7 years, and this is how you treat me? She's just a housekeeper's daughter. How can she haunt your thoughts so much? Jessica Adams angrily threw the bouquet to the ground. Before she could do anything else, Mrs. Grant had rushed in. She quickly walked forward and slapped both Robert Grant and Jessica Adams. Marriage is a serious matter. Is this how you make a mockery of it? How dare you get married behind my back? Fine, fine. Today I'll show you what kind of person the woman you're so obsessed with truly is. Mrs. Grant was trembling with rage. She waved her hand, and the bodyguards behind her immediately understood. The next second, videos of Jessica Adams with different men began playing on the big screen. Over the past 7 years, she had gone through one boyfriend after another. Whether they were middle-aged men in their 40s or 50s, or married men, as long as they had money, she welcomed them all. Relying on various men to maintain a glamorous lifestyle. Jessica Adams's face turned pale, but Robert Grant showed no reaction. Mrs. Grant continued, exasperated, "This is the wonderful wife you chose. One is a social climber, the other took 80 million and left without looking back. Robert, you are the heir of Grant Enterprises. How could you do something so foolish? Listen to your mother. Cut ties completely with all these messy women, and find a suitable match for an alliance marriage instead." Robert Grant didn't hear another word after that. Only one sentence filled his mind, took 80 million and left without looking back. Sarah Miller left? No, that's impossible. How could a greedy woman stay by his side for 7 years without complaint, constantly giving without ever asking for anything in return? Robert Grant believed anyone in the world could betray him for money. Except Sarah Miller. Her leaving could only mean one thing. Her heart died. Thinking of this, Robert Grant felt a chill run through him. His mind went blank. He couldn't think at all. He just instinctively rushed back to the house, back to the place where they had lived together for 7 years. Everything was as it was, clothes, jewelry, everything was still there. Only the jasmine flowers in the tree in the yard had been completely dug up. How could this happen? Robert Grant fell to the ground, the long-absent pain from his legs returning, spreading to his heart. But the girl who had stayed by his side, giving him therapy massages and constantly comforting him, wasn't there anymore. For the next period, Robert Grant searched everywhere for news of Sarah Miller as if he were crazy. Mrs. Grant also hardened her heart and erased all traces related to Sarah Miller, letting him go crazy and suffer, but refusing to give in. In utter desperation, Robert Grant found Sarah Miller's mother. For all these years, Sarah Miller's mother had remained at the old Grant family house as a housekeeper. No matter how Sarah Miller and Robert Grant tried to persuade her, she remained unmoved, saying only, "You are both adults. I cannot make decisions for you, nor should I interfere. So I respect all your decisions. But this work is my duty. I promised the old Mrs. Grant that I would work at the Grant house until I retired. A person shouldn't forget their roots." This simple, sincere sentence, when heard by Robert Grant, was so ironic. A person shouldn't forget their roots. But what had he done? He repaid kindness with enmity and broke his promises. He had wasted 7 years of Sarah Miller's youth, caused her to lose a child, and left her infertile for life. Therefore, all the pain he was now enduring was his own doing. Robert Grant's running away from the wedding became a widely discussed topic for a long time. Even though I was abroad, I kept seeing news about it. He and Jessica Adams started arguing about divorce the day after the wedding. Mrs. Grant hired the most professional legal team to file for divorce, preparing to leave Jessica Adams with nothing. The once envied wedding of the century became a subject of mock airy and gossip. I didn't have the energy to pay attention to these things. After letting my mother know I was safe, I began preparing for my entrance exams. Unfortunately, after seeing one doctor after another, the answer was always similar. My hands wouldn't recover anytime soon. After leaving the hospital, I sat forlornly on a bench by the roadside. I thought leaving Robert Grant would allow me to find my old self again. But only now did I understand that some things, even after they are over, leave behind damage that never truly disappears. Things that are lost can never be found again. I was staring blankly at the pigeons nearby. A little girl shyly ran up to me and handed me a drawing. "Pretty lady, don't be sad. You must look beautiful when you smile." Just as I was about to thank her, the little girl ran off in a flash. I opened it and saw a drawing of me with an exaggerated smile. The childish strokes conveyed the most sincere emotions. As I looked at it, a bold idea suddenly came to mind. I got up and called a friend from my hometown. "Help me get in touch with a community school for underprivileged children. I want to donate money." After going around in circles, I still returned to my hometown. Since the past hurt couldn't disappear, I would let flowers bloom from the scars. I donated all 5 million Robert Grant had given me and stayed to become an art teacher. Although my hands still couldn't draw for long periods, seeing the children's innocent and cheerful smiles made me feel like I was coming back to life, little by little. One day after class, as I was looking at the drawings the children had turned in, I suddenly received a phone call from Mrs. Grant. She wasn't as arrogant as before, her tone, instead, held a hint of pleading. "Sarah, my dear girl, please help Robert again. He's barely holding on." I was wondering what Mrs. Grant meant by that when I looked up and saw Robert Grant. He had lost a lot of weight. Standing in the biting cold wind, he looked like a swaying, falling leaf. He looked at me, and before he could speak, tears streamed down his face. "Sarah, I miss you so much." I looked calmly at the person before me, my heart completely unmoved. I was thinking about how to quickly get rid of Robert Grant. A little girl from my class came bouncing over. "Ms. Miller, have some candy." I smiled and stroked her head. "Thank you. Teacher is a bit busy right now. Can you go play by yourself for a little while?" The little girl nodded and bounced away. Robert Grant's gaze, however, was fixed on her, unwilling to leave. Only after the little girl's figure completely disappeared did he slowly speak. "If our child had been safely born, would she have been as cute as her? Would you not have left me?" Thinking of that child, my previously calm heart began to ache violently. I threw the textbook in my hand hard at Robert Grant, looking at him with red-rimmed eyes. "How dare you say something like that? Have you forgotten? You were the one who killed our child with your own hands." She was a fully formed little girl. The doctor said the baby was developing very healthily. Looking at her features, she would have been a beautiful little girl when she grew up. But that child never had the chance to see the world. She died at the hands of her own father. How could I ever forgive that unforgettable pain? Hearing this, Robert Grant's face instantly turned ashen. You know everything? Sarah, listen to me, it's not how you think." Robert Grant lowered his eyes, and 2 lines of clear tears slowly fell. From quiet sniffling, it slowly turned into uncontrollable sobbing. He fumbled to wipe away his tears. "I didn't realize the car accident would be so severe. I just wanted to fulfill a youthful dream. I didn't really want to hurt you. Jessica Adams said she would only be with me if I got rid of the baby you were carrying. I didn't mean to." I stayed with Robert Grant for 7 years. Staying with him as he went from disgrace to the peak of success. Watching him go from being completely dejected to being full of spirit. I wasn't after the wealth of the Grant family. I didn't even ask him to be with me. I just couldn't bear to see the formerly spirited Robert Grant become so self-destructive. I could accept that he didn't love me, and I could accept him marrying someone else, but I couldn't accept such lies and deception. He didn't just kill the baby in my belly. He also killed the image of the young man in white who stood under the tree in the yard, untouched by the world, that lived in my heart. I sighed softly and looked up at Robert Grant. Robert Grant, I loved you very, very much. To me, you were once a dream I longed for day and night. But the dream is over, and everything is finished. People always have to look forward. You can't cling to an unrealistic dream and deceive yourself into sinking deeper. I spent 7 years fulfilling a wish from my girlhood. I loved sincerely, and I tried with all my might. Even though the outcome wasn't as perfect as I had hoped, I don't regret it. Because the one who did wrong wasn't me. My conscience is clear. I am worthy of my younger self, and I am worthy of the purest feelings in my heart. Robert Grant cried harder and harder. Even during the time his legs were broken, I had never seen him look so sad and vulnerable. He was like a lost and helpless child, crying and begging for my forgiveness. Sarah, it's all my fault. You were too good to me, so good that I took your presence for granted. Jessica Adams was just an obsession in my heart. I only realized after I actually had her that she wasn't as good as I'd imagined. Everyone around me, whether friends or family, they all had ulterior motives. Only you were someone who truly loved me. Come back with me. Let's forget the past and start over. Things in the war LD are just this fickle. I had loved Robert Grant for so many years, yet he could never let go of Jessica Adams in his heart. He enjoyed my company and care while giving all his love and tenderness to another woman. Until I left. His love for me, however, reached its peak. It was truly ironic and ridiculous. I didn't want to deal with Robert Grant, but he just moved into the neighborhood near the school. He casually invested several million, making it hard for the principal to say much. For a long time after that, Robert Grant waited for me as I went to and from work, and played games and drew with the children. Just when I didn't know how to handle this problem, Mrs. Grant found me. The formerly imperious lady had also aged considerably. She kept sighing. Sarah, dear, Auntie will give you another 80 million. Will you spend more time with Robert? After you left, he shut himself in his room, not eating or drinking, just holding your photos and crying. He almost couldn't go on. I had no other choice. I had to tell him where you were. That's the only way he managed to pull himself together a little. I sat across from Mrs. Grant, vaguely remembering our first conversation. At that time, Robert Grant's legs had just recovered. Mrs. Grant was overjoyed and had Robert Grant resume control of Grant Enterprises matters. She came to me with a box full of money, saying the cliché line to me, 10 million. Leave my son. I was holding on to Robert Grant's promise to me and didn't agree. Her price also increased from 10 million to 80 million. Looking back now, I wish I hadn't loved Robert Grant. Taken the money, had the abortion, and left cleanly and decisively. I wouldn't have known the whole truth, wouldn't have been left infertile because of the car accident. And I wouldn't have had my heart broken. I looked at Mrs. Grant and shook my head, smiling. I wasn't swayed by money. I've given up on Robert Grant. Once money reaches a certain amount, it's just a number. I'm not a greedy person. I think 80 million is a fair price for my 7 years of youth. From now on, I want to live for myself. 7 years. My hands were ruined, my heart was dead, my dreams were shattered, my future destroyed. In the years I spent by Robert Grant's side, I lost too much. If everything I lost can't be found again, then I'll actively live a new life. Whether it's drawing or being a teacher. I am willing to start from scratch and work hard in any completely new field. The only thing I'm unwilling to do is go back to Robert Grant's side. Unwilling to fall back into the swamp of lies and struggle endlessly. Mrs. Grant heard this and wept. You were always a good girl. Robert wasn't worthy of you. There's no such thing as being worthy or not in relationships, only the person who doesn't love is petty. Now, I don't want to spend even a little energy on Robert Grant. Even if he followed me around all day, I would live my life as usual, as if I didn't see him. until an accident happened. Robert Grant won the divorce case and came to propose to me with the diamond ring he had once promised. Sarah, everything before was me being foolish. From now on, I promise I will cut off all contact with Jessica Adams and live a good life with you. Please give me another chance? I frowned. Robert Grant, my world isn't just about romance and love. There are many more important things. We've already broken up. Please don't disturb my life anymore. It had been snowing heavily for several days. Many of the children I sponsored were from poor families in the mountains. With snow like this, basic survival became a problem. I had too many things to attend to. I didn't have a shred of energy to spare for Robert Grant. Robert Grant looked disappointed. He hesitated for a long time, then left with a look of sadness. I thought he would calm down for a while after that. Unexpectedly, he secretly followed me when I went to visit the impoverished students. Even more unexpectedly, Jessica Adams had tampered with his car out of revenge. The car broke down halfway. Robert Grant lost his footing and fell down the cliff. The heavy snow overnight left him barely alive from the cold. By the time passers-by found him and sent him to the hospital, he had missed the optimal time for rescue. His life was saved, but his legs had to be amputated due to frostbite. This time, he would never be able to stand again. And there would never be another fool in this world willing to trade the best 7 years of her life for the chance of him standing up. Unable to resist Mrs. Grant's pleas, I went to see Robert Grant out of humanitarian consideration. He lay in the hospital room, looking gaunt and exhausted. He was almost like a skeletal figure. He looked at me for a long time before managing a smile that was uglier than crying. Sarah, you were right. All of this is my own doing. I'm a bastard. Even heaven couldn't stand what I did and made me pay the price for my actions. These legs, they could only stand up because of you. Now I've given them back. But I know I owe you too much. It's impossible to repay, not in a lifetime. I corrected Robert Grant. You lost your legs because of Jessica Adams, not because of me. One time was because of youthful arrogance. One time was because of youthful obsession. Only now, his obsession had shifted from Jessica Adams to me. I placed the diamond ring back on his bedside table. Don't come looking for me anymore. Don't follow me to the school either. The little children will be scared seeing you like this. Your pretense of deep affection doesn't move me, it only makes me sick. If it had been 7 years ago, I wouldn't have rejected Robert Grant even if his legs were disabled. But everything he did proved to me that some people in this world simply aren't worthy of receiving love. As I walked towards the door, R.T. Grant still tried to follow, unwilling to let go. But having lost his legs, he just fell to the floor pathetically. His wounds opened, and blood pooled on the floor. That shocking red color was the same as the day I had my miscarriage. That time, Robert Grant hadn't had a change of heart and turned back. This time, neither did I. Not long after, my mother's work contract with the Grant family expired. She still couldn't sit still and came to stay with me and help take care of the children at the school. As more and more children were helped, I established a charity foundation. Gradually, I gained some international recognition and gave quite a few interviews. A journalist asked me during an interview, "We heard that Ms. Miller and Mr. Grant had an unfortunate relationship and that you also lost a child. Is your establishment of this foundation related to that?" Hearing that name so suddenly, I felt a moment of disorientation. I hadn't thought about that person in a very long time. A lover I had once loved deeply, a hurt I thought I would never forget in my lifetime, now seemed so distant, like something from the last century. I smiled and said from the heart, "It's not related. Everything from the past is like a dream. But people must live in the real world. I'm doing very well now and don't have time to dwell on the past." The journalist kept telling me things intermittently. Jessica Adams was arrested and imprisoned, Grant Enterprises declined, and Robert Grant disappeared from public life. These were all things that had nothing to do with me. I found it boring, yawned, and ended the interview. After seeing the journalist off, I opened the window and breathed in the fresh air. The ice and snow were melting, and the spring breeze brushed against my face. Under the tree in the yard, it was no longer the young man in white from the past, but a group of lively, jumping children. They were innocent and lovely, full of life. And they made my world vibrant and colorful.